What's up, folks? Welcome back to the show. We've got a special guest on today, Jonathan Otto. He is an investigative journalist and a health expert. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
for
having me,
having me
Dan.
on.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So I think a big thing that's going on right now is the Anthony Fauci situation. And I wanted to bring you on and kind of talk a little bit about one, what you think of the massive psychological operation that was, ultimately COVID and then the vaccines, and then also just why they told everybody that it was tested to a certain extent when, the reality of vaccines is it takes years and years and years to make any level of, finding on them.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. There was so many lies and lies within lies, and you've got somebody like Dr. Anthony Fauci, or I mean, if you want to call him that, that was continually telling us to trust the science, which is saying blindly trust the system, and the theatrics of what we're seeing here as well is something that a lot of people aren't talking about, where if you can centralize this to one person, then it also absolves many others of the guilt and the responsibility in their complicity and their follow through, the fact that they were all involved, and it's so many, like whether it's the media groups that were involved, the news agencies, the other medical institutions, the World Health Organization, the hospitals, like so many checks and balances that weren't activated. So Fauci is one of many bad actors here, and ultimately the situation that we're in is we've done so much damage now, and this is where, if you keep in this, I heard this from some child soldiers, which is a surreal concept to think about. When they were doing some tours in Australia, and I ended up doing some work with some of these individuals in places like Mozambique and Tanzania and so forth, and they'd said things to me of the extent of, like, if you get bitten by a snake, what do? Go and chase for the snake and find it and to kill it, and that's what you do, and you spend all your time doing that. If you do that, you'll die. You need to look for the antidote. And so I still believe that now people are going to be blinded by the rage. All their energy is going there instead of looking for solutions. Like, how do you fix your body if you took that poison that you were told to take, and you believe those lies that Fauci told you? What do you do now? And that's where I believe that we can still and be a part of the solution and turn a situation around for somebody, so that they don't have to just feel disempowered and like they're kind of doomed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I did a video on it a couple of days ago, and I was definitely angry about it. And I didn't take the jab, but I know some people who did, and a lot of people had a lot of faith in it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, for me, I personally have taken a stand against just everything. Pretty much anything the government tells you is good for you is probably crap, or it's a psyop at this point. It's something that I've seen in the food we consume. Even water. I mean, I don't know if you remember the Alex Jones thing where he said that the water is making the frogs gay. So I have tried to pretty much implement everything I possibly can, down to like laundry detergent,
Yeah.
trying to eat all organic, trying to stay away from food dyes. I think it's one of the strongest rebellions right now.
Yeah.
Like, people had this huge rebellion against, the jabs during COVID, because I don't even think it was people didn't trust it. I think it was more of they were making it like a mandatory thing. Like, I have
Yeah.
buddies who served, like, had whole teams in the military that were pretty much ousted because of it. And
Wow.
for me, it's one of those things that I think is a huge rebellion. It's like,
Yeah.
if you can eat not poison yourself, if you can find ways to heal yourself and not just medicate yourself, I think it's one of the most important things nowadays, and the
Yeah.
honestly coolest form of rebellion.
Yeah, there you go. Look, comply with the government where it agrees with the law of God, and disobey when it doesn't. It's very simple.
Yeah.
That's why you drive on the right side of the road. The law tells you to do it, and it's a good thing, and you agree with it. But when the law of God isn't it being violated, and people are being told to do something that harms the temple of God, then you are obliged to dissent. And this is why you'll see Christians that stood through the ages were thrown to the Roman Colosseums, or many other versions of that, because they disobeyed their government, and it was the government of the time that was doing something that is illegal against God's law. And that's where we draw that line. When I was talking, Dan, about the ability that we have to turn something around and look at solutions, this is a profound example when we look at solutions. This particular study I wanted to show you and the people watching, this is from the European Society of Medicine. They had 62 people in the study, and this is where it's so relevant to anyone that's having any long COVID, because there's more exploration into what it was that actually that poison was, and
Sure.
why it's lingering, and why it's associated with so much chronic disease today, and that it's changed the face of disease. Like when I authored this book, the Cancer Off Switch, which was had the praises of some of the world's best doctors here. I mean, this oncologist, 30 years experience, he said that for anyone touched by cancer or seeking to prevent it, this book isn't just recommended, it's essential. Here's an example. So there were 62 people in this study. All 62 had complete recovery. And this is acute long COVID. And it was whole organ photobiomodulation. PBM is photobiomodulation, photobiolife modulation to change, right? To use light to change the process of life, the biological processes. And I mean, look at these words here. Full recovery occurred within 4 sessions for all photobiomodulation patients, right? And then all
Holy
but
cow.
2 cases resolved within 1 week. Like, I was shocked reading this after everything I had experienced and the things I'd seen in every other study that I'd read. By the way, there's 6,000 peer-reviewed studies to date on red light therapy. So when people are looking at something that is acute, a poison that is damaging mitochondrial function, that's causing, in this case, oxygen issues and all these other symptoms that you wouldn't even link to COVID. You're like, over the last 5 years, I have been feeling really sluggish. I found it hard to recall what I was thinking. And so you look at this, right? Photobiomodulation of long COVID outcomes include total resolution of dysapnea, which is shortness of breath. And this is where we just go into this immense science behind light therapy. And you see how wavelengths interact with the body at different levels and generate and drive the production of stem cells within the body. It's proven that a single light therapy session can multiply your stem cell count by, it's kind of shocking, 278% after a single session. Here's the study in humans showing this. The macrophages that are doing the cleanup, like they're Pac-Men that are literally cleaning up toxins within the body, of which these spike proteins would equate to, they'd fall in that category. They went up by about 7 times, went from 7.8 to 52%. And here's the breakdown here on the stem cell increase. And it's funny because you'd think, oh man, if I only had enough money, I would do all these stem cell treatments to fix all these things in myself, my parents. And I mean, I spent 6 figures on stem cells for my family members, particularly, and myself, because I had a lot of issues, health issues. And I'd never found that they work. Oh, look, I mean, look, this is running some really conservative numbers here. It was looking at, this was, a single session, if you were looking at like 100 million stem cells, would be at least 25K. And these are using sources from the aggregates from like all these different clinics that have got their numbers published. Jeez. And we're talking about doing that on a daily basis, Dan. And so with red light therapy, you're able to do what you would do with an expensive therapy like stem cell therapy. And when you think about what that's valid for, it's like everything, right? So the reason why stem cells are being used for all different treatments is because it's working for all the biological processes necessary. And so anyway, I did the estimates here on what it would mean if you did it over one area, and then multiplied it by the rest of the body, by, if this was on the shins in this study, and then it went between 50 and 100 million extra stem cells that were generated in this area of the body. And if the skeleton produced stem cells at the same rate, which I would argue, of course it does, because that's why you see bones heal at a similar time, then you'd be putting roughly 500 million to 1 billion extra stem cells.
I mean, I know for me, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of men who are trying to embrace just complete masculinity, trying to get away from the feminization of men nowadays. And I think a lot of guys are doing a really good job in terms of, keeping up with the gym, trying to eat better. What would you say is one of the biggest things that men and women can implement just in their day-to-day life as far as things that can really, really benefit them. Because for me, red light therapy just seems like a no-brainer at this
Yeah.
point for everybody.
Yeah, look, I look. You could do a few things, right? You could do fasting, which is for a day or two or three, if you've got the stamina and the ability to do that. There's several different things, but to me, the leading therapy that people need to be looking at and looking to do would be with the magnetic side of things, with light therapies to stimulate, like I'm saying, the stem cells in your body. And then all the other things that you're doing become more effective, and that's why I've presented data showing specifically that when you put light over the thyroid, you can fix chronic thyroid disease, which for
Wow.
anyone struggling with that would think that that's a little far fetched, because it's a difficult issue and it's hard to turn around. This study showed here that in a group of 350 people, the red light group were 70 times, which is 70, by the way, 70 times better off when it came to balancing T3, T4 ratios, meaning that producing thyroid hormones naturally, and 15 times greater at reducing medication dosage, levothyroxine. So, like, whatever you're doing, like if you could just get light over the critical organs in your body, your brain, your thyroid, your heart, your liver, your kidneys, you will see dramatic changes in your health with whatever you're going through. Something that people should know as well, like I'm an investigative journalist. I produce red light therapy products through my company, Red Life, and we present data, and I want people to understand this and understand the parameters so that they can understand that and go where they want, use what they want. And the reason why we did something special was that we combined these 10 most proven wavelengths of red and near infrared light. And by doing that, we were able to create something that was so powerful, that had the irradiance, the amount of power that was needed, which was over 200 milliwatts of power at 3 inches. We put the 10 wavelengths. We have the zero flicker issue. So that's what's associated with LED that can be harmful. And so we avoided all of that issue. And then we've then have the zero EMFs coming out as well. And so once people look at that data, they'll see, okay, here's the clinical studies, here's where it's penetrating the body. You saw that before. It's getting through the shallowest area of the body down to the deepest area of the body, all the way up to 1060, which is the deepest aspect of near infrared light that will get straight inside the center of the bones. And then blue is going to go just to the epidermis. So you see how we're getting every region in between. And that's why when you look at these studies, you'll see, okay, wow, look at all these clinical studies on all these different chronic conditions using this nanometer of wavelength of light, with using light emitting diode LED technology. And that's why the results are so profound, because you're hitting the regions of the body, you're generating and driving stem cell production within these areas of the body, and you're able to then transform your health from the inside out by doing that, Dan.
Just so everybody knows, we actually filmed this couple of, well, geez, maybe it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I forgot to hit record. But since then, I received my own red light therapy panel, and man, I've been using it like crazy. I've tried a couple of different positions on it. Um, this is
Nice.
me laying down with it. And do I have it close enough to my
Yeah.
face?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
great.
All
Yeah,
right.
you're nice and close. I mean, like, that's about 3 inches, and you could go all the way, to a centimeter away. And
Yeah.
if you take out the blue, you could take your glasses off and
Okay.
then look straight into it. And the study I'd shown, that eyes open, 670 nanometer light equated to 17% improvement in eyesight immediately within the same 24-hour period. 17% is the difference between reading and not reading for a lot of people after a single 3-minute session. Had to be the morning. So anyway, so I love this though. You're doing a great
Okay.
job, man. You got the right direction there.
Yeah, I mean, I've already felt the difference in terms of skin.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, we talked about it before, but I rodeoed for a while, so I've got, a bunch of back issues going on. I deal with heart palpitations at
Oh
times,
wow.
and I'm really excited to see just the results of doing this and being consistent with it, because I'm a true believer in this. I mean,
Good.
the the studies on just getting sunlight every day are phenomenal, and this is just takes it to a different level.
But here I'm running the wavelengths over the device, running this meter to show you what wavelengths are coming out of this device. And I showed you on that meter there, or the chart before. So you see those wavelengths that we said that they were there, they're showing up in the device. So really important, because if you need those wavelengths for certain conditions, like I showed you in the chart, you're guessing.
Yeah, to get the best level of healing with these, you want to be as close to the panel as possible.
Yeah, exactly, because you're able to get the biggest chunk of that power. That being said, you could work out in front of it and you still get a lot of the benefit. You still get a lot of the benefit. And therefore you could even stay there longer by doing that. And so, yeah, you've got the parameters there that are necessary to have effective light therapy treatments. And so, like, that meter, okay, that's not in the light now, but you could see it's going up between like 150 to 180 to over 200, depending, because you've got a bunch of light pollution in the room.
Okay, guys, if you go to myredlight.com, they're doing 25% off for single products and then 30% off for bundles. So it's going to be Dan 25 for 25% off, Dan 30 for 30% off on bundles. And this setup that I have, this is their biggest panel. I believe it's the 6,000, right?
600, yeah.
Okay, 600.
Yeah.
6,000. When I do things, I just either do them or I don't. So of course I went with the biggest one. Well, I really appreciate it, man. This has been enlightening for me. It's funny because my mom is a big health freak. She does all this stuff and she's been doing this for a long time. And I always just kind of always overlooked it because I just didn't really I mean, like I said, I rodeoed when I was younger, so it's a very different kind of lifestyle, a little bit grunny, but this stuff is so cool to me now. I mean, like I said, I think it's the biggest rebellion you can do to find ways to heal yourself. And just on the stem cells alone, just how expensive those are. I mean, this makes it look like pennies at this point.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. So anyways, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Welcome,
I really appreciate this. I really kind of want to start giving people some more ideas as far as just not necessarily having to go to a doctor and say, yes, I need medication because I have a headache or because I have a thyroid problem or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there are definitely solutions that are going to help a lot of people. So
yeah, I appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely, man. Hope to have you again. And thank you again. This has been awesome.
Thank you.